Hello and welcome. I'm Geeta Mohan and you're watching India Today Global. Now, it was Giorgia Meloni moment in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt. The 48-year-old Italian Prime Minister went viral for her expressions on different occasions at the Gaza Peace Summit. From being called beautiful to being advised to stop smoking, Meloni was the unexpected star in the land of pyramids. Here's a report.
The Sharm el-Sheikh meet for a Gaza peace plan turned into Meloni moments. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni appeared unfazed with compliments and awkward moments as she stole the show with her facial expressions which went viral. As leaders from the UK, Canada stood behind Trump, the US President complimented Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni for being beautiful. The President admitted that such a remark could end his political career.
We have a woman, a young woman who's, I'm not allowed to say it because usually it's the end of your political career if you say it. She's a beautiful young woman.
Meloni, who was standing behind Trump, did not flinch. Trump, who is married 3 times, continued.
Where is she? There she is. You don't mind being called beautiful, right? Because you are.
Meloni appeared visibly amused and slightly uncomfortable. She smiled and folded her hands in a namaste. Meloni, 48, was the only woman among the 30 world leaders that gathered on the stage at the Sharm el-Sheikh summit in Egypt. But that was not all. The viral moments continued, with Turkey President Erdogan asking the Italian Prime Minister to quit smoking. Meloni's response was that quitting smoking might make her less sociable.
Sigarayı bıraktırmam lazım.
But I have to make you stop smoking somehow.
I know. I don't want to kill somebody. Yeah.
In her autobiography titled I Am Georgia, My Roots, My Principles, whose preface was written by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Meloni confessed she started smoking again after 13 years. But it did not end here. Her expression was notably visible when Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif praised Trump for stopping 8 wars and for halting war with India. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif nominated Trump for next year's Nobel Peace Prize.
Pakistan had nominated President Donald Trump for Nobel Peace Prize for his outstanding, extraordinary contributions to first stop war between India and Pakistan and then achieve ceasefire along with his very wonderful team.
Meloni, who has served as the Prime Minister of Italy since October 2022, have becoming a recurring feature at major summits. Though the summit was held to discuss the future of the Middle East following the release of 20 living Israeli hostages, Meloni turned out to be the unexpected star. With Mahashweta Lala, Bureau Report, India Today.
Pakistan is on the boil within and at the border with Afghanistan as well. To discuss the situation on the ground, I'm being joined by Professor Brahma Chellaney, strategic affairs expert. Brahma, thank you so much for joining us here on the network. Let's begin with what's happening within Pakistan. It does seem like the security structure, which was quite finely balanced between the army and the civilian dispensation, now you see the cracks here.
You're right, Geeta. Actually, there was never a balance because the army was calling the shots and Sharif, the prime minister, is in power largely because of the army and the army chief. Now that division between the two, where the Pakistani army calls the shot and the Sharif government takes responsibility for all acts of commission and omission, that division clearly has been exposed by the fact that the Pakistan army cracked down on peaceful protesters who were actually protesting against Pakistan's silence, if not complicity, in the devastation in Gaza. Look at the irony of it. Pakistan, which was founded on religious grounds as a state of our Muslims, is being accused by its own citizens, by a militant Islamist group, of actually indirectly being on the side of Israel against the Muslims of Gaza. But I think there are larger issues, Geeta, that we should not forget. And then three issues about Pakistan that really define why Pakistan is not at peace with itself and is unlikely to be at peace with itself. The first is ideological, because Pakistan was founded, as you know, on enmity towards secular democratic India.
Yes.
It still defines itself by what it is against, namely India, rather than what it is for. Pakistan has still not developed a national identity. So it's always in turmoil, been in turmoil since its creation. It's a nation consumed by hatred. It can never thrive or even become a normal state. The second reason is that this is a state which has reared and nurtured terrorist groups for decades now, and given the extent of its links with terrorist groups, there's no way that Pakistan can enjoy domestic security. Internal security is a mirage for Pakistan. And in recent days, as you know, Geeta, that first there was this violent unrest in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, where the local people were up in arms against the state. And now we have on the streets of Lahore, at least in Muridke, open rebellion against the state. It began as a peaceful protest against Pakistan's Gaza policy, and then became a violent protest. And the third reason is that the Pakistan's army and intelligence remain immune to civilian oversight. In fact, they're not accountable to anybody. How can such a state be a normal state? How can such a state actually be at peace with itself and thrive? And I think these three factors explain why. Explains why. First, in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, and now on the streets of Muridke, we are seeing the state, especially the army, seek to crush peaceful protests.
There, Brahma, is going to be another challenge that Shehbaz Sharif and the big, great Field Marshal Asim Munir are going to face, and that is to do with America and the United States of America and its policies. The protests over here began because of their position, Pakistan's position on Gaza, something that they've aligned themselves with when it comes to Trump. They cannot upset Trump, and they cannot continue seeing this. Similarly, they've aligned themselves with Trump when it comes to the Bagram base, which would never happen in the past. And the Taliban now have said that they are not going to allow Bagram base for the United States of America. Again, a position that Pakistani people might not agree with. How will Shehbaz Sharif balance this? The situation where he might have to take a call, a decision on whether he has to listen to his people or to Trump?
It's a very good question, and a very agonizing development for the Pakistani state, because who could have imagined when the Taliban returned to power by expelling the US military, that in a matter of a couple of years, the relations between the Taliban and Pakistan would become so strained that there would be, in fact, clashes at the border. Or, in fact, in recent days, we have seen the Pakistan military carry out airstrikes on Kabul and other Afghan targets. All that was not conceivable when the US withdrew its military after 20 years of war. And the Taliban showed in this 20 years of war that it cannot be defeated. Today, by carrying out these airstrikes on Kabul and elsewhere in Afghanistan, Asim Munir not only underestimated the Taliban, he actually thought that the Taliban would not respond, that will take it lying down. He miscalculated and was completely surprised by the Taliban's swift and audacious reprisals. After all, the Pakistan military has been fattened on corruption, stealing the people's money, while the Taliban is a battle-hardened force. And it's willing to lay down their lives, the Taliban fighters. So the contrast between the Pakistan army and the Taliban is really quite stark. And I think what Asim Munir now faces, besides this Muridke bloodbath, in which his hand is very clearly visible, but in the context of Pakistan and Afghanistan, the Taliban's fierce response has been such that Asim Munir risks losing his face at home.
Well, we'll have to see what happens to Asim Munir, but you're right in saying that he could be facing a lot of trouble. Brahma Chellaney, thank you so much for joining us. It's just not the government shutdown that the US government is facing backlash over. This time, Trump administration faces opposition from within its own supporters. The MAGA base has protested against an announcement made by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth regarding a new Qatari Air Force facility to be built in Idaho. The facility will be paid for by Qatar and will be used to train Qatari pilots to fly F-15 fighter jets, which it is buying from the US. MAGA supporters and the proponents of America First strongly rejected this announcement. This deal was criticized from MAGA stalwart and self-described Islamophobe Laura Loomer, who holds considerable influence in the White House. Hegseth later clarified in a post that the airbase would be still under US jurisdiction and that the Qatari Air Force would not have its own base. He called all the reports fake news. The summit at Sharm el-Sheikh was not only about Gaza peace plan, but also about personal businesses and humor. Conversations on hot mic between Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto and US President Donald Trump went viral after the Indonesian president asked the US president if he could meet with his son Eric. Eric Trump is an executive vice president of the Trump Organization. Trump and Prabowo, who were also seen on video footage, appeared to be unaware that a live microphone was recording their conversation. Trump also, in another conversation during a statement, referred to Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney as president during his speech, and then later, in a light-hearted exchange, told him that he was glad that he had upgraded Carney to the position of president instead of calling him a governor. Listen into all that happened on the sidelines of the Gaza Peace Summit.
Is in a region Can you meet Eric? We look for better place. Yeah, all of them. Okay.
You have Canada. It's so great to have, in fact, the president called and he wanted to know if it's worthwhile. He knew exactly what it was. He knew the importance. Where's Canada, by the way? Where are you? Where are you? They have pretty big schedules, to put it mildly. The most powerful people. And I appreciate you being here very much, Mr. President. Fantastic.
I'm glad you upgraded me to president.
Oh, did I start?
It's good. I started.
Please say it.